Hey, also Nitro nerds here, and this is a video about Hyper 7, and essentially we've had probably, man, like 5 or 6 new, I don't know if they're new subscribers or not, but people reach out to me and say, you know what, after watching your videos, I got a Hyper 7, or I'm ordering a Hyper 7, or I've got one on the way, or something, and I think that's pretty cool. But anyways, we're not here to talk about mine, I'm here to talk about yours, and how I can possibly, hopefully help give you some suggestions, tips, hints, tricks, anything you need, because you know, I'm part of the Hyper 7 community, and I'll support anyone in the community that acts correct. It's mine. So if you got a new Hyper 7, I'm going to assume, let's say that you're new to the hobby. The first thing you're going to want to know is the engine that comes with it, at least the one that came with mine, which was a Mach Star 28 actually. You know, I don't want to say it's a bad engine simply because I really didn't know how to tune that well when I had the engine. I'm going to rebuild it here soon just to see what I can do with it now that I'm, you know, kind of learning how to tune a little better. But I would say without a doubt that the engine is probably the poorest part of the vehicle, but that's okay. That's actually, in a way, it's a good thing. Now, if you guys are familiar with Nitro or you've been involved with it, there's some things you can do. You know, one, you just contact me because it's exactly what I would do. Is you could sell the engine and the electronics. You could get, I'm telling you, 200, 220 for the engine, the pipe, and the servos. Brand new, of course. I mean, because I've priced them. I see a lot of people selling them like that. And then right there, okay, so you've got, shit, go buy a B6 or a B5 for 200 bucks, and then get you a couple ProTech servos. You know, and you're on your way. I mean, you're only out of pocket maybe 50, 80 bucks. Get a good pipe, 20, 58, something like that. And so you've essentially, you know, paid what, $350? And you got a pretty badass Nitro. Now, if you're brand new, I wouldn't recommend that, because I think it's best to have a low to mid-market engine to learn on, because you don't want to jack up a, you know, like a high quality race engine. So, you know, just know that there's something better on the horizon. That's kind of my point here. Don't try to get your engine to sound like a lot of the ones that you see in videos for a few reasons. Number one, some engines just, you know, there's a difference in how they can be tuned. And second, you have to tune them. So in other words, even if you were to get a badass engine, you're probably going to struggle for a long time getting, you know, your spot tune on, because it is not easy. So your focus, in my opinion, should be best practices with respect to getting it started, maintaining it, and learning, you know, little tips and tricks as you go along the way. Once you feel that you're ready to, you know, step your game up a little bit, you feel like you've got some a little bit of tuning prowess and experience, and I tell you what, it's experience. You know, there was a while I didn't fully believe that. I had some guys tell me it don't matter how much you practice, you got to have that experience. And of course, you gain experience by practicing. I expedite it. I personally feel in 3 years I've got like 7 years of experience, just because all the stuff I've done, all the practice I put in and stuff. But it's up to you, whatever pace you want to go on. Just don't get frustrated if your engine doesn't sound like some of the ones you see. Don't worry, you will get there. The only way you'll get there is to have an open mind. The only way you'll get there is to not say to yourself, man, this engine sucks, I need to get a better one because I want to sell like Nitro nerds. It's not going to happen, man. I promise you guys, it's not going to happen. I see it all the time. And then what I call these guys, they're flatliners, right? In other words, you know, they've been in the hobby a long time. They've reached a certain peak, and that's it. They're not going to go any further because they think they got it figured out. And they think that the only reason people's engines run better is because they're the fancy kind. No, you can. I mean, you saw what I did with that F4.6. I had this damn trucky here doing wheelies with that F4.6. You'll see it. You'll see it. So, anyways, that's the engine. The servos, you know, look. When I got my Hyper 7, that was a thing everybody says. That was a big thing about it back in the day, were the servos. And I was hearing such a bad thing about the servos. I mean, I really thought to myself, why would they like actually sell it? You know, why would they have the servos on the product itself if they're that bad? I mean, I was thinking like they didn't even turn the wheels or anything. You want to talk about poor stock servo? That's savage. It's a whole other story. But you know, look, they're going to do the job. They're going to work for you. I guarantee you, they are going to work for you. So, you know, it's up to you if you want to, but you're going to get a lot of peer pressure to upgrade your servos on it. That's the same with almost any ready-to-run car. Unless you just got money burning in your pocket, I would keep the servos. You know why? Because when you upgrade, you want to be able to appreciate it. If you just, right off the bat, let's say your first Nitro, first RC, or whatever, and boom, you upgrade the servos, how do you know if they're any good or not? How can you appreciate what you just paid for? You can't. You cannot appreciate it because you don't know where you're coming from. But I fully understand most everybody wants to upgrade their vehicles. That's completely understood. And here's what I would suggest as far as an upgrade. Have a breadth of options instead of replacing things. So, as an example, shock springs. Okay, as an example, tires. As an example, fluids, shock oil, differential oil, things such as that. These are things that you could use. Even bodies. Get yourself a few bodies, you know. It comes with a stock one, but you can go ahead and get a clear one that you can paint yourself. This as opposed with, you know, replacing the front shock tower or something. I mean, because then you've never even used the stock one. But if you go kind of a setup route, right, that should be your enhancements, or adding different setups, adding the ability to change the setup of the vehicle. You use them all. If I were to say one thing that you probably want to replace, like, you know, if it were me and I did all, the number one thing I'd probably replace is this damn pipe. Now, look, again, kind of like the engine, I can't really say because I wasn't tuning that well, but I'm going to do two things soon. I'm going to put this pipe on a good engine and then put a good pipe, what I consider a good pipe, on that same engine and see if there's a difference. And then I'm going to take that stock engine, do the same thing. But now this doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive to tune the engine. So in other words, this is something a lot of people don't understand, is that it's not subjective. You know, tuning is, it's either tuned correctly or it's not tuned correctly. Okay, it's not one of these things to where you say, well, I like my tune to be like this, or I like my tune to be like that. Well, I mean, you want it tuned is what you want. And so what I would do is work toward learning how to tune. And you'll be able to tell if you get your stock engine tuned, you'll know when it's tuned. It may not kick ass, that's, you know, but it'll be tuned, and you'll learn to keep it tuned, right? And then from there you move on. Now going back to kicking ass, again, look, when I was new to the hobby, shit, as long as I could get my engines to run, that was kicking ass to me, right? Like I wasn't so much into, are they out beasting? I was like, man, they're running, they're staying running, I can start them easily, all that good stuff. Let that be your focus. Best practices. You got to take your lumps. That's just how it goes. Either that or you'll be one of those flatliners. And the one part, you know, that I probably would recommend, just a few things, like again, if you just have money to spend, is a NIMH battery. Now, the ones you guys are going to have, it comes with what they call a hump pack, which is going to be like this. I moved this to a flat pack. I just like the weight distribution a little better, but anyways, so you get something like this right here. Also, regardless as if you go with a new servo or not, I'd recommend aluminum servo horn. Again, it's something, you know, you're going to use, you're going to keep. You won't get one for the throttle. It's kind of a weird design. In fact, I'm fixing to kind of design my own little throttle throttle linkage setup for this vehicle. Let's see, other than that, you know, most ready-to-run vehicles, what I would tell you to do is go out, drive the hell out of it, and then once you notice all the durability issues, start handling up on that. But this is what sets the Hyper 7 apart from all other ready-to-run vehicles. You're not going to run into durability. You're just not. Go out and do whatever the hell you want with it. Yeah, stuff might break, stuff might bend. You know, you might bend a dog bone or something, you know, here and there, but that's, I mean, you're going to do it regardless, right? If you're either going to have like a cheap ass vehicle that, you know, you're going to bend a dog bone going off a curb, or you're going to have a Hyper 7, you bend a dog bone doing, you know, a 20-foot jump. That's the difference. But it's, you know, Nitro, it breaks. I mean, but you know, the parts are serviceable. It's made to break. It's made to replace parts, and parts wear. So I would, you know, focus a lot of that money and attention onto maintenance. That's where most of my stuff goes, is in the maintenance. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to wear over time. You just keep it like new. Bearings, like I said, you know, any kind of dog bones, things like that, they just wear. Some things like, you know, shock tower, top plate, so it's not going to wear. But tanks, as an example, they do go bad after a while. So, but yeah, don't be afraid to do anything. Don't be afraid to break it. Once you kind of get that in your mind, you're not afraid to break it, you're not going to care. You're just going to go out there and drive it how you want to. What's the worst thing that will happen? Something will break on it? Okay. You buy the part and you fix it. Now, if it breaks again, take a look, see what's up. Because I've never broken anything twice. I haven't, you know, I'd say I've only broken maybe 1% of the parts on here, ever. And this is, man, maybe 14 gallons on it, 15 gallons of hard running. And of the 1%, certainly I've never broken anything twice. That's Hyper 7. Now, durability is the good news. The bad news is performance handling. Understand, the only ready-to-run vehicle I can compare it to when it comes to performance handling is this thing right here. And I mean, there's no vehicle, no kit, anything compares to this when it comes to performance handling. I'm just sorry. So that's not fair. But, you know, if you take something like the Trophy as an example, right? I would think it's probably going to handle a little bit better. But again, the way I would look at it is this. Hyper 7, when like, let's use a durability scale, excuse me. And let's say the Trophy on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most durable, is a 6. Hyper 7's a 9 or a 10. Let's say performance handling. Trophy is a 6. Hyper 7's maybe a 5. So there's very, very small distance there. You can make it handle itself well. It takes a little bit of time. I can tell you that. I mean, now I have a very, very high bar. I'm trying to, you know, compete this with the Kyoshos and the Mugans and those of the world, right? So, you know, I mean, I've got it handling itself beautiful right now, just not like I know it will be. If you do end up getting other parts, so let's say as an example, you break your top plate or something, try to find something lighter. Anything you can find that's going to be lighter, go for it. Because it is kind of a heavy vehicle. But like I said, the best thing you can do is just get to know the vehicle in and out, and that way you will appreciate all of the upgrades you do to it. You know, maybe down the line an aluminum clutch or something like that. Or a tunable clutch, you know, meaning that you could get some additional springs. Now, I will tell you about clutches. If you want to, let's say you want a, when I say a tunable clutch, meaning your buggy is going to come with one set of springs, right? And they dictate kind of your acceleration. And you can change the springs in there based on their terrain and how strong your engine is and your tires and all that. Now, if you want to get a tunable clutch, VP Pro has one. And it's like 15, 20 bucks, something like that. That thing is awesome. I had it for this and I loved it. I mean, I would recommend that clutch all day to anybody. Some things I wouldn't worry about. This is just me, but like there's like a 2-gear modification. You can buy like a 2-speed transmission or something for it. It's just, again, it's me. I don't think it's needed. I mean, if you want to know why, I'll tell you why. But other than that, it's just not needed. I mean, you notice all the top race vehicles out there, they don't use them, right? I mean, if they were that good, they'd be using them. So just something to kind of think about there. Other than that, have fun. If you've got questions, you know where to go. You guys are free to make comments in the YouTube channel, but I would encourage you to go to www.nitrorcnerds.com. We got a forum there, and there's a lot of Hyper 7 guys in there. I write in there all the time about the Hyper 7 stuff, so come on. Let us hear from you. A lot of newbies in there, a lot of old school guys as well. You know, finally, one gentleman who is considering it, he was actually asking for his 2 boys, and I think, forgive me, sir, I believe they were like 6 and 8 or something like that, which in my opinion, much too young for this. You can get it for them, they can drive it and all that, that'll be great, but they're not going to, I mean, I don't see an 8-year-old being able to maintain one of these or service one of these. I don't see an 8-year-old starting one. Excuse me. So just be ready that you'll be doing a lot of the work on it. But that's what we Nitro heads, that's what we like. is that challenge, right? Otherwise, we just get electric, plug it in and go. We're on our way. But we like the realism. We like, the fact that it's so, it's very granular with respect to how well it can operate. So anyways, just kind of be aware of that. But he asked, is it easy? Is it an easy nitro to start with? Which is kind of an open-ended question, because in my opinion, there are no easy nitros to start with, right? So nitro is just by default, when you get into it, you're going to struggle. I've yet to meet a person who hasn't. Just know that. But I would say definitely yes, and for the reason that it is so durable. So you're going to be working on these vehicles, right? Regardless, but you won't be, with this one at least, fixing it. Not as much as any other one. You won't be fixing it. It's a whole lot more fun to improve it and do different setups and stuff like that than it is just replacing parts. So that's where I'd say, yeah, it's definitely easier. But there are other options out there. There's HPI Trophy. There's like Thunder Tiger, I believe, still makes some buggies and stuff. And for all intents and purposes, they're good, mid-market type buggies. And I'd certainly support any mid-market nitro buggy, any mid-market nitro vehicle. But it's not a Hyper 7. Thanks so much, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will certainly help you, and good luck.